Hi everyone, it's Kathy Richardson here. Today I want to talk to you about what to do when you feel anxious. It's based on a coaching conversation I had with a client earlier today, and she's really struggling with finding confidence in terms of dealing with things that are currently going on for her in her life, and it's coming to the fore in some real anxiety and fear, which unfortunately strikes at around 3:30 in the morning, when ideally we want to be sleeping, because that's the time when our brains are dealing with our emotions, and that's probably one of the reasons why we wake up at that time in the morning, but that's food for another Facebook Live altogether. So what can you do when fear and anxiety strikes to the point that you get fight or flight response? Before we talk about what to do, it might be useful to understand what fight or flight response means in our body. It's all down to our subconscious mind. Our subconscious mind is also known as our reptilian brain. It's programmed to defend us, and in many ways that part of our brain, it's situated in the back of our head, is actually still not quite as developed as the frontal part of our brain is, where all our live and active thoughts take place. So this part of our brain, the subconscious, the reptilian mind, is still designed to protect us from dinosaurs. Realistically, our lives have moved on and the world has evolved to the point where dinosaurs don't exist anymore, and we don't have to run or fight for our lives, but our bodies still programmed to work in that way. And when we get the fear of whatever we perceive as a danger, our bodies respond in exactly the same way they would now to how they would thousands of years ago, by releasing what's now known as the fight or flight response, which effectively is a mass release of adrenaline and cortisol into our body, which has a number of physiological effects. But one of the main things that the fight or flight response does is it really changes the way in which we breathe. We either stop breathing altogether, holding our breath, or we get palpitations and the heart starts beating very fast. And sometimes we wake up at 3:30 in the morning and feel our heart racing as though we are running away from something. That's the adrenaline in our body doing this. So why do we get this response when we're anxious? Again, it's down to our subconscious mind, because the subconscious makes no distinction between true or false, between real or perceived danger. And it also doesn't make any distinction between external dangers that come from the outside or internal, the dangers that we represent to ourselves. And this means that the self-talk that we use have a real impact on anxiety in our body. So if, for example, you say things to yourself like, this is not going to work, I am going to fail, I am a loser, something isn't right with me, I am not good enough, our subconscious mind regards this as a message to run. I'm not good enough to fight this dinosaur, so I've got to get out of its way. I am weak, not strong enough to fight the dinosaur, so I have to run out of its way. So self-talk has a major impact on how anxiety reflects in our bodies. However, what can we do to deal with this when we find ourselves awake at 4 o'clock in the morning, 3:30, unable to go to sleep, or really worrying to the point that you feel that you can't breathe? There are a number of simple techniques, and it's about using our body to access our brain. Now, first of all, and this comes from my yoga training, the breath is a hugely powerful way to control our physiology, especially because the adrenaline has such an impact on our breath. Lucky for us, we are able to control our breathing. It's the only motor function that we also have physical control over. So we can, if we notice that we're holding our breath, breathe in. And when we notice, for example, that we're having palpitations, we can slow our breath down simply by controlling the way in which we breathe. And there's a good way for us to connect this physiological response with what goes on in the brain. The brain is like a naughty child. It doesn't stop. The brain's job is to keep working. And we always have thoughts in our mind. And these negative thoughts sometimes are the things that cause the anxiety. So what do you do with a naughty child? You give it a toy to distract it. And the toy we're going to give our brain is something that involves repetition, something that involves a pattern, and something that needs it to concentrate. And we're going to link this to the breath. We are going to count our breathing. So, it's a bit like counting sheep, to be honest, but the fact is that if you breathe in, say for 4 counts, 1, 2, 3, 4, and hold it, just for a moment, and then breathe out for 6 counts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and hold it, and then repeat it. We're giving the brain far more interesting stuff to focus on than the simple just generation of thoughts, which is its job anyway. We're giving the brain a pattern, and because we're giving the brain a new pattern, we're interrupting the old pattern, which is the negative thought. So controlling the breath also means that you're getting more oxygen into your body. So when you hold your breath, your body thinks you're going to die. No oxygen equals end of. So by making sure that we're breathing enough oxygen into our bodies, we're almost counteracting that fight or flight, a release of adrenaline in the body. When you breathe out, you also exhale a lot of toxins, which your body is in process of making, and part of the toxins that we release is the adrenaline output that's in our body. So the adrenaline gets broken down, the waste products go into our blood, we breathe those waste products out. So actually very slow, well-controlled breaths help our bodies get rid of the adrenaline, so we bring ourselves down to our normal, simple, optimal operating function, which is balanced. So we distract the mind by giving it something different to play with, and at the same time we're giving our bodies more oxygen by counting the breath. And every time we do that, we create a cycle that breaks the pattern of unhealthy thinking and unhealthy breathing, which is where the anxiety response is founded. So if you wake up at 3:30 in the morning and you feel this anxious response, count your breaths. You don't even have to count. You could relate the breathing to, for example, saying the alphabet. So A, B, C, D to breathe in, and E, F, G, H, I to breathe out. And then you work your way through the alphabet. And eventually your brain gets so focused on the new pattern and the new concentration that you need that it sort of forgets the negative thinking that you've been so used to as a pattern. Try that next time you have an anxiety response in your body. I am sure you will fall back to sleep if it happens first thing in the morning, or if you need to feel calm to make a phone call, get up on the stage to do a presentation, perhaps even just at a networking event. Controlling your breath and counting is a really powerful way to get rid of the anxiety response. Let me know how you're getting on. I'd be really happy to get some comments back. If you try it, let me know if it works for you. Have a good rest of your day. Bye now.